Good morning. It is, November 23rd, right around 9:30, 9:45 a.m. I don't know if you can tell, but it's snowing. And this, I think, marks like the third day that we've had snowfall that doesn't immediately melt when it hits the ground. I am at Canyon Falls. I'm at the trailhead that will eventually lead me to Canyon Falls. And I'm excited to see what this place looks like at this time of year. Because the last time I was here was, about maybe spring of 2016. And this is one of, I think, Michigan's hidden gems. I certainly didn't know about it until one person brought me here back then. And it still isn't really talked about a whole lot. When people talk about waterfalls in Michigan, there's a bunch at least in Marquette County, but all over the Upper Peninsula that get talked about well before this one does. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. I don't remember this being a very long walk, but we're going to put some steps in now, and I'll talk to you again when things get interesting. Stick with me. Fun fact, I believe it was this trail in 2016, coming down here the first time and the only time, that I was able to use an ND filter. This was about 5 years into me doing photography, and I believe the person who helped me get down this trail lent me a variable ND filter that I got to play with, I believe, on if it wasn't the D5300, it would have been the D500 and the Tokina 11-16 DX2. I think it was that setup. And I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off, just so excited that I was playing finally with long exposures in the middle of the daytime. Bright sunny day, hard light everywhere. But I was going nuts. I was getting low, getting weird angles. And I remember making one image of a little creek here before you get to the river that fascinated me far more than any of the images of the waterfalls and the bigger part of the river from that day. So I think I'm coming up on that part of this creek now, here. Maybe it's not this part. Man, and the water's flowing too. We've had a lot of rain recently. Perhaps it wasn't right there, but there's a bunch of little outlets just like that back in 2016, man, I feel like maybe it was right here. I don't know. Kind of crazy. Where I just sat my tripod in the middle of the creek with that, I think it was like a 2 to 10 ND filter. And of course I was at 10 because I was just crazy and working with hard light, and I sat right in the middle of the creek and took some long exposures of the creek going by with mossy rocks and stuff. And I remember working on that image, brushing in highlights, burning and dodging, things like that. And even still today, I still look fondly on that image. I know probably some of you are like me, where I look back on images that I took and edited a decade ago or whatever and go, whoa, what was I thinking? But I still kind of like that one. It's very busy and messy, but there are parts of it that I still like. So I'll put that up now and show you guys what I took then. And from my entire outing that day, years and years ago, 8 years ago or so, that's my favorite image from my time in this area. So if I can make something that I like as much as that, I'll be really, really happy. I'll call it a success. So let's keep moving. Now, what I really like about today is that we do have this little dusting of snow that's falling so delicately on all these rocks. And I'm hoping that it stays overcast as the weather said it should, so that the sun doesn't make that stuff disappear, or at least not too quickly. Right now it feels right around maybe low 30s. And so without the sun, I think I'll have some stuff to work with, especially in the woods here. But, you know, along the river where the sun will hit, if it shows, that stuff will disappear relatively soon. So I want to make some images using that. It's a little interesting because you get a little dusting of snow, but you can, there's still, you know, the texture and colors of things revealed underneath it. Like, for example, right here. This is pretty cool. We've got moss kind of just littered across this rock and these tree bases, but with a nice fine white powder coating in and around it. This isn't necessarily a shot for me, but I want to find this kind of play with the environment somewhere along the river in these cascades. And then, of course, this area and a lot of the Upper Peninsula, and this is true the further west you go, just littered with large rocks, boulders, covered in moss. It's kind of reminiscent of some of the imagery you might see from like the Pacific Northwest. We certainly don't have like the large old growth forests. It's certainly not a rainforest climate, but it's very, like, some of these areas are very mossy, lots of lichen, big rocks, geologically so interesting. It's one of the reasons why I've been so captivated by the Upper Peninsula since as long as I first visited. It's just gorgeous. And so it makes it easier to find compositions that are a little more fun and interesting, because using those rocks, getting that texture, getting that color, it's great. So as long as you find something else to kind of work with it, it makes it so you have a lot of options when there's so many of them all like that. We're gonna keep looking. One of my favorite conditions working inside the woods is a heavy overcast. And that's what we have today. Not just heavy overcast, but we have a little bit of snow dusting a lot of things on the ground. So we have really soft light, like no hard shadows at all. Some of that snow is helping reflect light back up. And so we're getting nice balance of color and light across some of these things. These set of trees right here, hang on. Just gorgeous light exposed on that moss. I'm very tempted to pull the camera out for this. I'm not seeing any obvious compositions. It's not really working with the river, but some of the moss has some snow on it, and there's a little color on the dead leaves, on this one at least. So I might pull the camera out, get a couple detail shots. Let's do that and then continue on. Messy, a lot of branches crossing in and out. It's hard to pick one composition that I think works really well. The river's behind it, and so I have kind of a messy foundation. I do like the snow, but it is very busy. And then the river cuts in halfway through, and then I have the woods across the river. And so there's lots of layers, lots of busyness in those layers. Not sure I'm gonna love whatever image I pull out of this, but it at least gets the camera out and I get shots in, so that breaks the ice. I'm gonna continue just a little bit here, grab those trees back there, There's some nice snow on the base of this tree, just left of camera there, so I'm gonna finish up here and we'll keep going. There's a pretty interesting part of the river here. I don't recall this specifically. I'll turn you around in just a second, but let me describe it. It almost looks like the river is hitting some large rock. And so it's forming like this wave structure. When it hits it, it goes up and then curls back around. There must be some large boulder in the way, because this is pretty cool. I might try for a long exposure here and see what I can make of this. I don't know how well you can hear me, but I am gonna work with this for a second. I'm gonna prop you up somewhere so you can see what I'm doing, and then I'll come back and talk to you. 1 minute. As it turns out, that it was kind of difficult to make a composition on. I didn't have a lot of options because I can't necessarily get in front of it very well. I can only stick to the side. Closer to it looks a little bit more dangerous. I'll take a look, but it's probably not a good idea to try to get closer to it, just based on the fact that there's a lot of roots and steeper rocks right next to it. But I took a couple shots, and I suppose if I like them, I'll show you now, or at least one of them. It's interesting. I was at around bopping between like 1/8 of a second, 1/10, somewhere in that area. F11 or so. Let's keep moving. A little story time. Let's walk and talk. I just took the drone out. I'm sure it'll be, some of that footage will be littered throughout the video, but I had to say something. Usually I wouldn't be a fan of breaking the fourth wall quite like this, but I have been a recreational drone pilot. I don't have the Part 107 license, and so I only use it recreationally. I have a Mavic Mini 2. I've been a drone pilot for, let's see, about 8 years or so. 7 or 8 years. I had the Phantom 4 Pro as my first drone, and I got rid of that years and years ago, and I picked up this Mini, the Mavic Mini, I want to say in like 2020 or so, and so 4 years or so with that. Today is the first day I've ever had an accidental collision with anything. I crashed my drone for the first time. Luckily, I crashed it coming back to where I was, and I wasn't using home point or anything because I was kind of nestled in between some trees, and so I wanted to control it, bring it down. I've have many hours on the drone, so I'm pretty well equipped and comfortable to handle these kind of tighter situations. But I forgot that I was in sport mode. And so when I thought, because I was filming in cine mode to go slower, I used sport mode to do one fast track upriver. and my brain thought I put it back into normal or cine mode to slow it down to come home, but I did not. I sport mode raced it straight into the tree that was above me. Thankfully, it was just above head level, and so I was able to grab it out of the tree, and we're all good. And a testament to that is you're seeing the footage from it. So let that be a lesson. Check whether you're in sport mode or not if you're trying to delicately bring your drone home. No props damaged, everything looks fine. Gimbal was still working fine, so when I get home I'll clean it up and later on we'll test it out. But okay, where I am now is quite possibly one of the most beautiful spots in Michigan. What we have here is a really tall cascade. This is a waterfall. This is a real waterfall. I can't remember, I'll look it up later, but I want to say roughly 20-25 feet, give or take, of this one cascade. And this is called Canyon Falls, and I'll show you why, because a lot of this is cut like a canyon, and so the river runs through, and so you've got these larger cascades with big rock walls. It is gorgeous. I was here in early summer, late spring in 2016, and so it's really nice to see this in a more delicate condition with the snow, a narrow color palette to work with. So I'm gonna work with what we have here and show you a little bit more of that. Let's walk along. This would be quite the drop, so there's handrails, and I'm gonna respect those. I don't need another accident today. What I really like here is I'm seeing some deep saturated red colors on the walls, contrasted by the nice greens of the moss in a lot of spots, with little dashes of snow, and I think I'm even seeing icicles starting to build up in some spots. So this is definitely going to be a details place. 28 to 105 on this guy is going to get some use here, probably at the long end. But take a look at this. So I'm gonna prop you up somewhere, and I'm gonna shoot around a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you. Give me a couple minutes. I just noticed lots of icicles up on this tree overhanging. Lots of mist spray. Oh wow, I'm seeing a lot more now. Take a look. So I did take a panorama with a camera vertically oriented. I like to do that at longer focal lengths. You keep compression elements, which is to say that what I want in focus, that subject, is compressed against the background. It's a kind of way that I like to isolate the subject. It kind of flattens out the things between the subject and the back, right? And so it doesn't feel as if there's depth in a way that makes it feel busy or visually messy. So I like to do panoramas zoomed in quite like that. I've done a lot of work with the 70 to 200 doing panoramas like that. 28 to 105, no different. At 105, I think I did like 8 shots left to right. I don't know if it's gonna be any good, but I was looking to try to find some visual balance between interesting elements left of this kind of dominant tree subject here. There's a nice fallen tree that I wanted to grab in on the left side of the frame. And then 2 trees on the right that look nice to me to try to cap it on the right side. And so I'm hoping, if that works, I'll share it now. That is kind of the takeaway image for the details that I like about what I'm seeing over there. That being the main subject, and then the foundation of the rock wall there, that down tree right there, and then those two trees right there. I don't know if it's gonna work, but it's fun anyway. I'm gonna take a couple more detail shots. There's lots of icicles. Things are looking really nice. It's been a nice day so far. There's a lower level. We're gonna go around and go down now. So I'm curious, if I'm gonna ask you to leave any comment below, and I know not many of you are watching right now, but if you're a fan of Michigan, have you heard of Canyon Falls? And if you have, do you know of another kind of hidden gem quite like Canyon Falls? It's about 45 minutes from my house, not a far drive, but so much of the Upper Peninsula is worth visiting. And I'm curious, I have a waterfall book, so I have lots of different options that I have yet to discover that I will eventually find. But if you've got some hidden gems, you don't have to be specific, but if you want to describe them to me, I'd love to know some of your stories about Michigan, whether it's the Lower Peninsula or the Upper Peninsula. So leave a comment below. What's some of your favorite hidden gems in Michigan? All right, I'm gonna stick around here for probably another 10 minutes or so as I try to get some of these details. Really enjoying the snow covering this tree here. Not sure how I'm gonna use it, but it's making things really look great. Again, that rock wall with the reds and greens, just gorgeous. I'm gonna try and pull some more details out. The wide stuff is a little hard to get here because the views are honestly like from the middle of the river looking at the canyon. And we can get a little bit of that if I travel down just a little bit, but it really doesn't encapsulate it the way like my drone would. So work with some details. I'm gonna try to find some slightly tighter compositions, maybe somewhere between 50 and 100, 50 and 105. I have the 20 in my backpack and the 50 in the backpack to really play with. So I don't see myself pulling the 20 out unless I find a really nice composition with something prominent on the ground level in the foreground that I want to kind of emphasize. But we're not there yet. Oh, and it wouldn't be a photography trip without a little coffee. I've got some Dead River coffee with me. It's a combination of our Ethiopian Sidamo, so nice fruity, blackberry, a little jammy, with our decaf. So a half calf. The decaf is a Brazilian Swiss water process, nice and nutty, a little chocolatey. Together, it's great. Very, very nice. It's an AeroPress brew. Oh, that's wonderful. Really, really good. I'll leave that right here. Should go anywhere. Okay. Stick with me, we're not done yet. Okay. I think I have a pretty neat shot. It's definitely different, a little unique here. I've got a viewpoint of kind of a crevice where the rocks hang over and something of a window that I'm looking at through to the river as where the waterfall is. And so where the rock is, I'm getting a lot of like bouncing light. And so it looks like a nice, just a windowed shot into details of the waterfall. Let me take you over there real quick. I'll leave everything right here. No wind today, I'm not too worried. Should be fine. Okay, I'm gonna turn you around and you're gonna see what I'm looking at. I'm a little closer now and I might get this close to really refine this composition, but this is kind of cool. Check it out. So give me just one moment as I work with that, and I'll come back to you. You should have heard the sound I made when I framed up that shot at the very end. The closer I got, the more refined that composition got. And what I ended up with, I really like. I'll show you that shot now. I really love when I can work a composition quite like that to figure out what that scene needs. And it just needed to be closer. It needed to define the frames a little better and to remove distractions yet again. So I'm happy with that. I don't know how different it'll be after edited, but what I'm seeing on the back of the camera, I really like. Let's keep moving. I don't know how much there is more as far as grand waterfall scenarios like this, but there's more on the trail I definitely want to see. So this is pretty cool. I know I said I'm gonna look for a wide, but this might honestly look really great at around 50, maybe 35, somewhere in there. I'm not sure yet. My detail-loving brain says zoom all the way in, but there are some elements. So the water traveling is gonna make for a nice long exposure component, that's obvious. What I really like down here are these layers of rocks, layers upon layers. And they're not totally squared off. They're kind of organic looking. They kind of wave with the water almost. So I'm gonna tighten up and try to get something that uses this element combined with this element. I don't know if it's gonna be tight enough that it only has the two, or if it's gonna include some of this stuff up here. So give me a moment and we'll walk through that. Or at least I'll come back and tell you what I did. The sun is coming out. It's lighting up the background. I kind of like it. The original composition was actually really difficult, and I don't know if I got there or not. I think I like the shot at 28, although there were details that I do like zoomed in, and maybe I'll work with those eventually and edit them too. But when I zoomed all the way out and got the full context of the river with trees and something of a sky, there was a little more to the story that I think told a bigger story on the image itself. Because it was very fragmented. And that's something you risk. Focusing on details a lot is not telling the bigger story. And sometimes those shots matter more, honestly. But the sun came out. And I'm seeing patchy blue spots in the sky, which means that my snow is probably gonna melt pretty soon. And the light is gonna change and is changing. And in fact, I grabbed a shot far away probably about, I don't know, maybe like 50 yards out of a nice like lump of moss on a rock that was kind of lit by the sun nicely. I'll show that now. I really like that. But that tells me that I have limited time left here with this snow that's kind of dappled all over. So I'm gonna turn around and start heading back where I came from. I'm not done yet, but I do feel a sense of pressure to get at least a couple more shots of the details that I liked along the way, so that that snow doesn't disappear and that opportunity's gone. So let's wrap this trip up, and I'll talk to you again when I find something. I'm caught. The sun has been poking its head out and making me stop and look at a lot of different things. And oh, I am seeing lots of different routes though that I do like. So we're gonna stop on the way and grab some of this stuff. Hang on. You probably saw right there, that sunlight rushed back to the scene. And so we're moving along. I'm seeing more water where there was snow, so we're getting down to the wire here. I think I got a couple of cool shots on those details though. One wide to establish a little bit of a foundation of where I'm at, some context there. So a grouping of those trees with the roots and the snow, I like that. I don't really care whether you like it or not, but I appreciate you watching. I have no idea if these are gonna turn out to be portfolio worthy, but I get the feeling at least one image from today is gonna be posted to socials, and that I'll remember fondly, just like the last time I was here. It really helps to put yourself in a place as cool as this. That's for sure. I don't like feeling rushed, but at least I'm taking shots. That does feel good. I was half worried that getting out here I wouldn't feel so inspired. Honestly, I thought the water level would be low, and I thought that it might just be difficult to shoot around here with all the fall colors gone. But I was wrong. There's lots of color here still, just not in fall color on the leaves. Lots of lichen and moss, red rocks. Seems like this is a good all year round type of place, although it might be really difficult to get through in the middle of winter here. I'm sure that would probably be a little dangerous, but I plan on getting some snowshoes, so maybe it's worth trying once. I don't know. Oh man, all the snow on this boardwalk is disappearing. I may have burned up all my luck. Ooh, we do have another tree here with some nice exposed roots, moss, ferns, greenery, red roots. I like this. Let's shoot this. So we've got red roots here. I'm not sure exactly what type of tree this is. It's a needle tree. I'm not good with naming most trees, species, but I love exposed roots like this. The ferns will play nicely, I think. The spotted snow, there's some sunlight back and forth in the background. That's kind of nice back there too. So let's play with it. I don't know if this will be a particularly wide shot, but I can envision grabbing some of that stuff in the back. So let's work with it. This might be another opportunity for a more compressed focal length panorama. Getting close eliminates some of the things I do like about the background. So I'm going to get a little further away, zoom out maybe to 50 or so, and do a panorama left to right. Maybe like 3 or 5 images and see what we get. So I'm just looking at the LCD, kind of framing it up before I plant this tripod. I do think this is the way to go, although the emphasis on the roots themselves get lost a little bit. So I don't know if I'm going to find a happy medium. I'm trying both vertical and horizontal here. I really do like the subject. It's finding that composition to really emphasize the pieces together that's going to make this work. And right now, I did the panorama and I'm working now on a tighter 105 millimeter, just grabbing the roots and some of the ferns, and I like that too. Well, I do think that's going to wrap it up. The sun's been out. There's still little spots of snow. And I may pick off another shot or two before I get in the car. But I came here to get some images with these conditions, and I got them. So anything else is a bonus, but not sought after. And I just want to thank you guys for coming along on this one. And also I want to thank you for watching the last one. It was months, like a year really, of trying to decide if I wanted to continue or reinvent this channel in any capacity, because I was feeling that bug of making videos and bringing people along on adventures like this. And I was close to just shutting down this channel altogether and just continuing to keep that hybrid version of coffee photography vlog on the coffee channel, because that one has almost 1,000 subscribers now, which is not huge but appreciated, and people are watching. But I do get the sense that most of those subscribers aren't there for the photography, and I don't want to make content they're not interested in, and I don't want to force it. I don't want to force coffee into the content they're not interested in. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I don't know where that'll be, but find out with me. Thanks, guys.